Live. All right. The broadcast is there. All right. We're going. Oh, snap. Here we go. I ain't even going to be able to use my intro.
Countdown.
So, yeah. No, I could do the countdown. I'm just going to have to use Miss Amanda. That's all. I see folks is about to. We got one person in. It's my sister all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Twizzler, who is selling popcorn, y'all. She's selling popcorn. She ain't said nothing to me, but it's all good. Looks like she's on YouTube, and I don't see anything from Facebook yet. So we're gonna give it a second before I do anything. Hopefully, Candace, you can see, you can hear with no problem. Should be due. Says it's on. So, anywho, we got 5 viewers. I'm not sure where they are, but I see that they are there according to oh yeah, six viewers from Facebook. So Facebook, 7 viewers. It's not saying anything. Anywho, good evening, y'all. I'm not sure what's going on with that again. I think we ended like this, so we're gonna start. Man, what's the phrase? How you end is how you start, or is it how you start is how you finish? Anywho, let me get this started the proper way, and we're gonna get this party started, you guys. Miss Amanda, you're gonna start us off for season 3.
Live in studio. You're tuned into Gentlemen After Dark. Hey, Onyx.
Welcome, 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 and welcome. It's Gentlemen After Dark Wednesday, season 3, episode number 1. Let's see if we can get this. How did I do that? That. Tonight's topic, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about boys to men, a single mom dilemma. You know, this that moms raising their sons to become men, from boys to men. So we got a couple of ladies who are going to help us out with that subject tonight. But before we get started with them, they both agreed that they would sing a little song for everybody. No? Yeah, y'all had a, and Michelle gonna mute her mic. Anywho, let's see. So good evening, TLB. I think that's YouTube, but again, it's not really showing me. Yeah, I got one viewer from YouTube, and I got 17 viewers from Facebook. You guys, I don't know what's going on. We ended like this 2 weeks ago. For whatever reason, all of the Facebook comments and things of that nature are not showing up on my screen. So forgive me if I don't acknowledge you. I know that there are 18 viewers here total. 17 of them are from Facebook, but I just can't seem to read. I can't read those comments. So it's typing. I hear it. Woo. Anywho, so we're going to get right into it. Oh, hold on. Uh-huh. My mom. Hi, Mom. So we're going to get started with this. We're going to have fun tonight. First, I want to say thank you guys for making it a part of your day, your week, your life, maybe to share in this Gentlemen After Dark movement. I was able to take a couple of weeks off and just exhale a little bit, get my mind together, and at the same time, hey, be able to think about the future. Miss Dana, I see you all the way from Cancun. I'm a little jealous, but I ain't mad at you. Go ahead and indulge. Shouts out to you and Mark, the whole family being able to take a little vacation. That's what's up. So without further ado, I know you guys want to talk about this subject. It definitely is one that warrants some attention. Being a product of a single parent home, it definitely touches home for me. And for those of you who are going through it, hey, you might learn something tonight. Miss Memphis, Tennessee, Miss Tamara, I see you. Thank you for tuning in. Again, Miss Candace, all the way from Pittsburgh, and everybody that's here. Again, I apologize to you. I'm not quite sure what's going on, why they're making it so difficult, but you know what? I don't necessarily have to read the comments. I'm sure the ladies, if they see it, they'll just chime in and let me know accordingly. Outside of that, let me introduce to you my panel, all the way from, what is it, Compton, Carson, one of them C's. Miss Michelle Fennison, she's in the building tonight. Thank you for joining in. I'm gonna have to do like this. Ta-da! And then we have Miss Three. I call her Miss Three. Miss Theresa Offert. You know, I was gonna call her. No, I can't do that. Okay. Welcome, Miss Three, you guys. She's here to share as well. So what I'm going to do is shut my mouth and allow the ladies to speak. Ladies, I want you to just reintroduce yourself, and then let us know what man-child or young man-child do you have, you know, his age, that kind of thing. And then we'll start right into the conversation. Starting with, let's start with Three, since I ended with her. Let's start.
So, as you know, my name is Theresa. I have a 14-year-old who is on the verge of ending middle school and will start high school in the fall. Single mom. Well, that may be part of the questions. I'm single, but I don't do it by myself. I'll put it that way. But that's probably further discussion, but that's who I am.
She said, well, I'm single. Well, I'm okay, yeah. Moving right along. It's complicated. All right, Miss Michelle.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle. I have a 29-year-old man-child, as Onyx puts it. It has been a journey, one that I've enjoyed. Like Theresa, I didn't do it by myself, but yet I am a single mother.
That's what's up. I just thought of something, so bear with me, y'all. Why can't I just watch and see from Facebook on my phone? Let's see what happens. You know what? You're not gonna do me. Ta-da-ta-da-ta. Oh yeah. A couple of weeks off and oh no, we don't want that. I didn't do it by myself. We don't want that. That's a delay, but I could take it. All right, there we go. Got it. I just put that on silent, and then I'll be able to see some comments. Ta-da! I think I did that right. Anywho, so thank you, ladies, again for being a part of this. You know, I asked quite a few ladies if they would be willing to participate, and guess what? They were all bashful and shy, but you ladies stepped up to the plate. I don't know why they would be bashful and shy. This is a great topic of discussion. And hopefully, you know, one of my goals for season 3 is to have topics of discussion, not just to talk about it, but actually to talk about it and find some resolution to a scenario or a situation. So, you know, although Michelle's son is 29, pushing 30, and Three's son is 14, you know, about to move into the next stage of his life as a teenager, I think that, you know, we all can offer some help and guidance for those of us who now have quarantine babies, you know, some of them being sons, you know, that we're going to have to raise and, you know, bring them into the next level. So let me start off with a great question like this. Do you feel that a woman can raise a boy into a man? And you don't have to raise your Zoom hand. Whoever wants to answer can answer, and we'll go from there.
Since mine's older, I'll start. No, we can't. We have no idea what it's like to be a man. We don't know specific things about being a man. I was told I didn't even know how to teach my man how to tuck his clothes correctly because there are, I don't know, specific things that men do, like tuck their shirts into their underwear, their t-shirts, so that they don't rise up when they hold their hands. I'm just telling you what I learned. Just telling you what I learned.
Okay.
So I never thought I could raise him into a man. I can only raise him to be a better person. That's the best that I can do.
Okay.
And I think ditto. Like I don't think I can raise him to be a man, but it's kind of two part. I can raise him to understand how to treat a woman because I am a woman, and I can give it to him from my perspective and teach him about the level of respect and honesty and trust. Like that's my goal, and that is part of being a man. But the other part, like Michelle is saying, I can't teach him how to be a man, and I don't want to. I'm not a man, and I don't know anything about being a man, so I don't want to send false information to him, but I definitely can tell him what it feels like from a woman's perspective of how I want to be treated by a man. And hopefully he picks some of that up. And ironically, little things that I've done as he's grown up is, when you're walking on the street and you're walking with a woman or a girl in his case, because he's only 14, make sure you're protecting her from the street and you should walk on a certain side. So this was years ago. So he called himself having a date going to Starbucks a few weeks ago. And I said, so what are you going to remember to do? He's like, I know. Make sure I walk on the right side of the street to protect her from any traffic or anything. I was like, okay, I did that little part. So it's little things that I can tell him as a woman what he should look forward to or how to treat a woman, because I know that information. But the skills and tips of how to be a man, I don't, I'm not that person. There are many women out there that like, I can do it all. I can teach them how to be a man. I might not be a man, and they do all that, yada, yada, yada. But we just can't do it. It's not our role. It's their father's role or godfather, whoever's in their life, is that, we want to make sure they get that responsibility and help us with that.
I'm a product of a single parent home. At 52 years of age, I think that my mom did a damn good job. There were areas that, she struggled in. She could have probably did things a little bit different. But in the end, a lot of who I am, I owe to my mom because she was there in the home. She did all the things, that needed to be done. When she got to that point where, let's just say, for example, when I decided to go left and not be focused and go to school like I'm supposed to and all that good stuff, my mom ended up outsourcing. She reached out to my uncle, rest his soul peacefully. She reached out to him and basically, he kind of grabbed the reins from there and just kind of reeled me back in and made it possible for her to maintain that structure that she was trying to implement. My mom's from the South, so we all know Southern blood. When it comes to parenting, they don't play. Now, as they get older, things might change, but for the most part, my mom had a tight grip. She had a tight rein on me, if you will, or her children, period. So let's talk about, okay, Miss Michelle has her son is about to be 30 soon, or he's grown. At this point in your life, do you see you still being mom to him, or is there that space for him to be him?
I'm still mom. I'm always gonna be mom. Forever and ever. Like I tell people, he's mine. God gave him to me. So that's that. However, I don't believe that when children get 18, boys or girls, that they are ready to just go out in the world and just know everything. I still believe that as his mother, it's still my job, especially raising an African American young man. There are things that he needs to know, he needs to be aware of. So I teach him. I believe in teaching him every day. So as he has gotten older, he has kind of separated himself because he's now trying to get into that manhood and trying to exert that and show that he can be a man. He lives in Arizona at this point, and his dad said to me, I never thought he would leave his mother. But he basically has started creating that distance, not from our relationship, but just showing he can do things himself, takes care of it. He doesn't call me and ask me, Mom, can you do this? Or how can you do that? Or if he asks me how, he goes, okay, I can do it myself. So I think if you raise them correctly, I will say this, my son, from a young child, I think he was 2. One of the things I taught him was a man is only as good as his word. And without your word, you have nothing. And at this age, at 29, my son's never been in jail. He's never been in any gangs. He doesn't have any kids at this point. So I think, and he always remembers that a man is only as good as his word. So, I think that was pretty good.
Thank you. I will take this moment. I see my dad is here, you guys. Good evening, sir. Welcome back. Good to see you. I think that's important. Michelle, you may mention that you see your son basically transitioning to his own, but there still is that relationship. And we all know that parenting, like you said, it don't cut off at 18. All right, I'm done. No, it really kicks in. If you ask me, it really kicks in at that point, because now as a parent, your role really changes from the person that does everything for them to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to the person that has to go, okay, well, I'm gonna let you do, well, let me know if you need some help. You need me to help you, just let me know. I'm going through that right now with my daughter. I know, although she's not a man child, but it's just that transition of allowing your child the space to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. Okay, let's go down here to Miss 3. So 3, you have a 14-year-old, a growing, let me call it, a growing body of hormones and all that good stuff. So how do you address that, or how do you deal with that, from a mother's standpoint? And again, like you said earlier, not really knowing too much about what it is to be a man. How do you handle that?
Well, I started as early as 5th grade when the question started. I went to, in terms of hormones and body changes, I literally went to the library and rented a video for his age appropriate. And we watched it together about what is sex, like what does it mean? Like I don't sugarcoat anything and I don't hide anything. So even as he's developing even more and things start to happen to his body, I explain it the best way I can, like, hey, that's going to happen. And when it happens, make sure that, you think of something, just to calm you. That's always my advice. Because as it started to happen and the hardness and everything started, I was like, oh my God, what is that? So we had that discussion. But again, as I'm not a man, so I couldn't tell him what that might feel like, but I could tell him and not lie to him that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen more often as you get older. I also recently talked to him about, there may be a time in your life when you're going to want to, because he's starting to hear that boy man talk at school. And I was like, there's going to come a time in your life where you're going to want to understand your body differently. You may even want to touch yourself. And I said, and when that happens, you do that in the privacy of your room, either your bathroom or your room, close your door. But if it happens, it happens. Don't be scared of your body. So those are the kind of conversations I have about his hormones, but I don't sugarcoat it, and I don't make it seem like it's not going to happen. So I just keep it real. We laugh about it. And sometimes, and I tell him, like, you might want to call your dad about that. He's like, no, I don't want to, I don't know what that is. But I try my best to keep it real. And what I don't know is like, hey, let's look it up. So that's my perspective on hormone changes. Like, just keep it real and not sugarcoat anything. Or I'm one of those free people. Like, I'm not going to say, like, oh, you're too young to be talking about that. I'm like, oh, what questions do you have? Let's talk about it. Like that. That's the only way for me. I think in raising a boy, that's the only way for them to have a reality check. Like, okay, let's talk about it. So that's my perspective on raising a boy. Like, just being truthful.
It's funny because I was having a conversation with one of the ladies I wanted to be on the show. Her son, I think, is 6 years old. And so we were just talking about that subject of sex education. Now, for us, I remember it was the especially for him or the especially for her video or reel to reel that they showed in class. And then when you got home, you're supposed to talk it over with your parents. So, I had the conversation with my mom, and man, pretty much around that same age, but the difference then and now, our children are so exposed to the raw now. They don't get the mellow version, it's vaginas then for us, it was the vagina. Here's the book, or it's pussy. It's just that plain and simple. Now, what we got to do is teach our children, our sons, the difference, because all ladies don't want to be addressed with the P word, and then they don't want to seem corny with their friends and fellas using the V word. So what do you do? How do you jump over that hurdle? In your case, 3, I know you say you keep it.
Well, I was looking at I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Shoni or Sean.
Sean. Yeah.
It was, she put something in a message that not listening to their little friend. So interesting story, because I don't know what this is, and only you guys, men, will know this from being boys, that in the locker room they do this whole penis challenge, like whose is bigger and who, that starts to happen. And when she said that don't listen to their little friends, it's interesting because when he came home, he's like, Mom, they were talking about blah, 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 right? Different sizes. I said, listen, your little friends don't know shit about shit. If you got a question, you need to come home and ask it. I said, because 9 times out of 10, they ain't packing like they say they packing. So we laughed about it, but that's how I unpack some of the stuff, is just talking to him. And again, just being real about him in this transition and explaining what hormones are. Like, that's really important. Me just telling them your body's going to go through some changes. That's one thing, but to really talk about, your body goes through changes because your hormones are at different levels. And when that happens, blah, blah, blah. So again, it's about just keeping things real. That's how I deal with the transition, is just when you have questions and bringing stuff up. Like, hey, when you like a girl, like, what happens to your body? What do you feel inside? Like, does your body tingle? And, trying to have those. And sometimes you're like, Mom, oh my God, here you go talking that old stuff. And I was like, whatever, your body's feeling something. So just asking questions. And I've always, in this transition, I think because I started at such a young age, having open conversations, that I always want to leave, like, half the stuff is hilarious to me, but I never laugh while we're having the conversation, because I don't want him to ever feel like, oh, she just thinks it's funny and I'm not going to come to her anymore. So I always take it serious. And even through this whole transition, I just started young and listened to him. And now he just openly comes to me like, hey, this happened, or what do you think about this? But I think that's the whole part of that transition. You have to build trust early. I mean, with all kids, girls or boys, but especially with boys and their mothers, like, they're not going to want to tell you what's going on with them or what they're feeling. And so I didn't want him to have that. I wanted him to be able to always be open. So we just started young, just talking about stuff. And, and I always told him that it's better to trust your parents than the world. So I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to laugh at you. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll just talk about. So I developed that so young that the transition has been easier for me in a sense, because he'll just talk about whatever's on his mind.
Can I piggyback off of Theresa? even though my son is older, we did go through that. And in his junior high school, they, sent home the permission slips to have the your child attend the sex education class. So we used to, live in Lakewood. So we always would go to LA or whatever. And I would bring up what you learned in sex education today. And he would literally put his hands over his ears and go, Mom, we're not going to talk about this. Mom, we're not going to talk about this. But what I found is that I just kept having the conversation. Well, did you learn this? Did you learn that? Mom, we're not going to talk about this. But I don't even know if he realized it. He'd come ask me a question. Mom, they said this, or Mom, they said that, or something like that. He would just come tell me what he knew. Something happened in class and so on and so forth. And I just noticed that although I started the conversation, he may not have wanted to talk about it at that time, but eventually he would open up and say things. Now I probably know more than I want to know. Now I want to sometimes cut that conversation off because I hear things I don't want to hear. But that's only because I'm his mother and okay, let's put some distance. But I love the fact that we do have an open relationship and he can come and feels comfortable coming to talk to me about anything that he may be going through. I tell him he's a hypochondriac because when he learned about syphilis and all this other kind of stuff, he's off to the doctor. But I've always taught him to, you wear a condom, you don't trust a female if she tells you she's on the pill or she's on this. And I taught him that early. Never trust her. Have your own. Don't use hers. Use your own. Be prepared. When in doubt, don't do it. So along those lines of the hormones, I'm glad that we were able to continue to keep those lines open. So I think sometimes they may not want to directly talk to you about it, but they'll bring it to you when they're ready.
Yeah, it takes time. As Three said, start early. I remember when my dad used to come and pick me and my sister up, for the weekend, and we'd be on the drive on our way to his house. You just be kind of like gazing out the window, and he would always say, "Well, what you thinking about?" And the answer always was nothing, nothing, nothing. And I'm sure he even will say it today, like, yeah, he never did have anything to say because it's that comfort zone. How do I get to that point? So as parents, we have to break those barriers down. I faced the same situation my own self. Hey, baby girl. Hey, what's going on? Nothing. Nothing. So you got a boyfriend? No, daddy. No, I do not. It's just what you guys were saying is the same thing for me, just on the opposite side of the coin. So I'm definitely listening to you because I got to break that wall down from her. Not that I want to hear all of this, but I need her to know that this is cool. That's not cool. Don't do that. Or better yet, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Help her. Next question for you. So, being a mother of a son, being a mother of a son who is a Black young man or a Black man, what would you say has been or currently is your greatest challenge as a mother, a single mom trying to raise a son?
I think maybe one of my, I don't know, maybe one of my challenges is when everything was going, as things go on in our world, and when all the things continue to happen with Black Lives Matter, and I was a student in school at the time when it happened. So I got frustrated because I was like, how do I I think that's my biggest challenge. How do I continue to have these conversations, these real conversations about your role as a Black boy and becoming a young man and becoming a man? Like those are challenging conversations to keep it real. And I don't want to be Debbie Downer and all police are not bad, but I have to have these real conversations with him. we live in Downey, so you can be the only Black child in your group of friends. And it's those tough conversations that becomes really challenging. Not that I don't have them, but I get challenged because I want to I want to say the right things and say the real things, but I think it challenges me to prepare him how to prepare himself to be in the world as a Black man growing up as a Black boy.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I mean, we've gone through the driving while Black and just being out there, getting some girl pregnant or something like that. We've had those conversations, but I'll tell you, I think my biggest fear was when we lived in Lakewood and I was in the house and just my son belonging to a gang. He always tried to think he was about that life, but he really wasn't. Not in that life like some other kids were. That's all they knew. And one day I was in the house and I heard, he doesn't know I know, I'm his mom, but I heard the gang slang and them out there and I knew he was outside, and I know at the age that Theresa's son is, they're easily influenced sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it even starts at like around 9 or 10. And I just thought, if I don't say something, this, my son can maybe idolize the wrong people and want to, be out there with them and think that's all cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so that day I walked outside. I have a walking stick from Jamaica, and I walked outside with my stick and I told my son to go in the house. And I told those gangs, he belongs to me. He belongs to me and God. And if you want him, you're going to have to go through me to get him. And at that moment, I know he was embarrassed. Oh man, my mom came outside. But for me, I was fighting for my son. That was my biggest thing. And I felt like if I can show him I'll fight for you now against these little punks, imagine what else in the world I'll fight for you for, just to make sure you have a chance. And after that, like when things would happen, this one guy, he lived next door to us. He would always make sure my son, if he knew something was going down in the neighborhood with the gangs, he would make my son go in the house. He's like, nope, I'm not dealing with your mama. You go in the house. Or if he was walking home from school and he knew something was about to go down, he would like be his protector, even though, he wasn't a part of any gang like that. I think that has been my biggest fear. Not being able to, because as mothers, we're protectors of our cubs. That's just period. We are. And we will fight anybody trying to harm them. That's just our instinct. Don't get it fooled about that soft and mothers are nurturers and all this kind of stuff. We will fight you for our kids. And I just think when you show them that you will fight them against something that's wrong or not good for them, even though as they get older, they'll still make their own decision. I think not wanting to hurt their mom or not wanting to see their mom have to do that for them makes them think twice about maybe getting into that life. That's been my biggest fear.
And I think some of it also comes like as a 14-year-old, it's this independence piece that probably speaks to this fear that Michelle was talking about too. For example, I purchased him during the pandemic, purchased him a beach cruiser. Like he hasn't ridden a bike since he was in 6th grade. So I was like, oh, we'll start bike riding. But then he asked me, he was like, can I just go around the corner? And it was really hard for me because the world we live in now. And again, I don't live in a predominantly Black neighborhood. So it was so hard. I kept saying, I was like, okay, just be back in 10 minutes. Now he's like 10 minutes. I said, just go around the corner and be back. That was really hard for me. And speaking of fears, that was hard for me. But now I've gotten more comfortable. I'm like, all right, just be back. I'm loosening up, but I have to give him this space for independence so he can learn. But then there's also this fear like, oh my God, when you go, make sure you have this on. Make sure you wear your helmet because I don't want you to get hit by a car. Make sure if you see somebody getting close to you, ride faster. Like so nobody jack you for your bike. Like all those things are going through my head. Mm-hmm. But I have to also create this space of he has to try some of these things. He won't learn unless he does. And I can't cradle him through that. I'm not going to be there. Just like basketball practice. Some parents sit in the gym at basketball practice at his travel team. And I'm like, I'm not sitting there. And he doesn't want me there anyway. But in my mind, I'm like, he has to have that independence. I can't be at his practice in high school.
Right.
So why would I sit there now? So it's that piece of giving him a little independence, but pulling back a little bit. So I think that's part of my fear too. It's like, oh, how much independence do I give him at 14? And so.
Well, I can tell you this, Teresa. After that incident, they did take my son's bike, and he went down there because he came in the house and was like, they took my bike. I was like, well, I paid for that bike, so you better go get it. And as he got older, I heard him tell his godfather some things that I never knew. But he went down there and got that bike because he told those boys, I'm more afraid of my mama than I am afraid of you. I'd rather fight you than fight my mama because she hits harder than you do. So it's like, I think once you put that fear, and people go, no, but yeah, you got to put that fear in them so that they know, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go that, because then I have to go answer to, my mom or something like that. I can only speak for my son, and he'll tell you, he's 29 years old. He'll tell you to this day, yeah, no, I'd rather fight them than fight my mom because she's gonna win. So,
that's funny because I'm going back to elementary school myself. As soon as you get in trouble, we're gonna call your dad. No, don't call my dad. I mean, don't call my mom. Call my dad. Call my dad. It's cool. Don't call my mama. Please don't call my mama.
That's what you used to say too.
So I'm a product of PWT. For those of us who know, permit with transportation. When busing first opened up, I was probably on the first wave of school buses headed out to the valley from the inner city. I was good in 7th grade. I was actually a great kid. 8th grade, that's when we started leaning to the left. And my mom walked with me to the school bus, the bus stop, 6:30 in the morning. She walks with me. I'm like, you going this way to work, mama? And she like, yeah. Mm-hmm. My mom walked to the school bus stop. My mom got on that school bus with me. My mom sat next to me on the bus, and we went to the San Fernando Valley, Patrick Henry Junior High School, where my mom spent the day in classes with me and rode back home. So you want to be a clown? Oh, okay. Got it. Embarrassed? I was greatly, because, now it's like, your mama rode. Your mama, yeah. I mean, right down to went to the cafeteria and had lunch, coffee cakes and pizza and the whole 9 yards. My mama was right there. So, although the times are different, but the fears are all still the same. And it's gotten, even more worse. Like 3 said, come back in 10 minutes. I lived in an apartment complex, and all we could do was play in the backyard. We had a whole apartment complex full of kids. So the kids who lived in the front part of the apartment complex, they could only play in the front yard. The people that lived in the middle, they could only play in we called it the backyard. And then the kids like myself, we played in the back in the parking area. So we got all these kids, and we were like separated, segregated. Until we got older, then things started coming together. And the next thing you know, you down the street at Wayne's house, who lived at the other end of the block, down at the other end corner. But guess what? When your mama called you, you heard that voice. She was 15 homes in between, but she reached out. She could get you. So kudos to you ladies for being able to hold it down.
And just wanted to add, in terms of fear, one of the things that, even walking home from school, 8th grade became this whole thing, because he's hybrid, goes to school 2 days a week, half day. And now he wants to walk to school and walk home. And I finally, first I was like, oh, Well, I'll go the same time you go because that's the time I take my walk in the morning, knowing that wasn't my.
Shoot,
So
be
I would
good.
walk and we would break off at a certain point. Like he would keep going, break off. So I did that a couple times. Then I just stopped and let him do it. But when you say about can a single woman or a woman, period, raise a son to be a man, I let him do it now, but I don't think I have the skills to say, here's how you need to walk home, and here's what you need to watch out for, and here's how to protect yourself. Because I think that comes from differently from a man. And I don't own those skills that way. So that's the piece where I'm like, got to sit down and I have like I said before, a parental partnership with his dad. So I have to have that conversation. Like, hey, can you have a conversation with him? I don't mind him walking, but can you tell him the real about protecting himself? Because I don't think I have the tools to do that. I can tell you the general stuff, but men are going to tell their boys something differently to create their strength and their fears and teaching them to be courageous, right? That just is a different voice and different words are shared. So again, that's part of that. Can single women raise their boys to be man? We can, but partially. We need their fathers or their male figures to do that piece of developing them to be a man.
And we need to let them, whoever that male figure may be, let them like step out of it and let them teach them in whatever way, as long as you know this person is not going to hurt them maliciously, but let them do what they have to do. My son decided, again, junior high is a rough age. I'm surprised he made it. He decided he was mad because I was telling him to take out the trash. Why he had to take it out? Why couldn't I take it out? And he was taller than me. Wanted to, buck up a little bit. I'm not proud, if that's a word, because he found himself looking down at the garbage disposal. But
Ding, ding.
but he just, that was one instance. And then another instance, I came home, I worked 3 jobs to try to make sure and all he had to worry about was going to school and doing homework. And then I come home late at night, his homework's not done. It's 11 o'clock at night. He's not a morning person, so I'm fussing as usual. And he was, wanting to mouth off, and he found himself on the side of the refrigerator. It was what it was. But I called his dad. And said, you need to get your son because I'm putting him out, because I'm not going to fight in my own home that I pay for the air you breathe. So I went to send him to his dad, and I found out later that his dad and his godfathers, he has 2 of them, told him, if you ever, book up at your mom like that again, you're going to have to deal with us. And that's what I like. I like that even though his father and I didn't have the best relationship at that time, as far as that was concerned, co-parenting is what we agreed on. And as long as it wasn't, okay, you say this and I say that. It was like, okay, we bound together when came to giving instructions or raising him, we agreed. And I like how he backed me in that situation. I didn't know it happened. Of course, like I said, he went to his dad's that weekend, but they all came over. He called his godfathers and they got him and, basically let him know. And that's what I appreciate. Let me be a woman. Let me, again, teach him how to be a good person, but you teach him how to be a good man and what's right and what's wrong.
And we have to also be on the flip side of that. There are different single women. When I hesitated earlier in the word single, because single means different things. Like I don't consider a single mother, to me, is a mother that is doing it all by herself. I'm not doing it by myself. So that's why I hesitated a little earlier when I said I'm a single, because I'm single in terms of relationship with his father, but I'm not doing this by myself. And I acknowledge that. And as women in general, I'm not pointing the finger, but if the finger is pointed at you and you know whoever that is, or people like that, we have to stop holding our children hostage from their fathers because we've had bad relationships with them.
Amen.
We have to stop. Children need their fathers. And we have to stop bad mouthing the fathers of these children and figure out how we're going to have these parental partnerships so that we can both raise our children to be young men. So I just wanted to put that out there because that's that flip side where some women are holding their children hostage and not being able to see their fathers because they don't like the dad because the dad cheated on them. Whatever those cases are, we got to stop somewhere. And if it requires therapy, go to therapy because the kids need their fathers.
And we need to keep them out of our relationships.
Absolutely.
Because your relationship with that man, their father, you laid down with them. That child didn't ask for that. But when it comes to how you feel about him or what you don't like or do like, have that conversation with the father separately away from the child, especially the sons, because they're watching and they're naturally protective of their mothers. So they're going to think that every man that comes along is going to treat their mother, if the father's treating them bad or talking to them bad, they're going to treat their mothers like that. So they're going to always be ready to fight. And you shouldn't put your child in a position to have to protect you and fight for you all the time. So if you're going to have a conversation with your girlfriends about baby daddy, ex-husband, whatever, have it when your child is not around. Let the child be a child and let them grow up, because they'll eventually make their own decision about that other parent, you know, whether it be good or whether it be bad. Kids they're very, very, what's the word I want to use? They pay attention more than you think they do. And so just let them develop their own opinion of that parent. They'll know who loves them. And if they love you both equally, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. If the dad is not good or the mom is not good, then they'll figure that out.
And they start to figure it out when we don't badmouth them in front of our children and vice versa. And then we have this parental partnership. They do figure it out. My son figured it out in early middle school, and literally out of his mouth, he had discovered that, mom, sometimes my dad doesn't make good decisions. I was surprised. But again, like Michelle, to validate what Michelle's saying, they see it. They figure it out when he's with them and saw whatever bad decisions were being made. He figured out. He had intuition about, that's not quite right. That whatever that is, they figure it out on their own. They don't need us to say to them, your dad is this, your dad is that. They don't need that from us. Just keep it in a safe place where we're raising our children again to be conscious, courageous children.
It's ironic. I watched a clip earlier today. It was on Oprah, and Oprah had the same type of setting. She had a male mentor on the show, and she had a therapist on the show. And the question was asked of the mother panel, what was it that they needed from the fathers? And the very first answer that came out from the bulk of the ladies was finances. I need you to, this child support, you got to pay, la da 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 da. So the therapist was like, time out. What does that have to do with the child? And yes, it requires money to take care of your kid, but instead of chasing the wallets, how about chase that guy's heart to want to take care of his child, whether it be the son or whether it be the daughter, whatever his responsibility. It's unfortunate to see that some of our moms, they really do chase the man away from the situation, period. Till he gets to that point where he says, you know what? I'm washing my hands of it. It is what it is, and I'm gonna walk away. But there are a lot of fathers out here who want to be actively a part of their child's life, sons, to help them through the process. But the moms make it difficult, and that's unfortunate. And for those of you moms who are out there listening, maybe it's not you, maybe it's one of your home girls, your girlfriends, your ace coon boom, your day one. Maybe they are the one that's being that way. You guys should have that conversation, like has been said. Don't have that conversation in front of the kids. or the child, because in the end, all you do is push that child away from you, not away from their dad. Because eventually, like has been said, they're going to see their dad for who they are from their own eye perspective. And then they're going to start questioning everything that mama said about daddy. So, keep a child in a child's place, adults stay in adults' place, and we should be all right. But unfortunately, we forget that sometimes. We forget that.
And when you think about it, I didn't get child support, but that was a choice. That was a choice. I'd rather my sons and his father have a good relationship than somebody telling you that's your child. Somebody shouldn't have to tell you to help care for them. So we just had a arrangement or agreement. But I tell people, you're gonna pay your rent, you're gonna pay your utilities, whatever extras you're gonna get, you're gonna pay for that. If when it comes to the child or that, you shouldn't be telling them they need to help you pay your rent or they need to help you put gas in your car because you got to take them back and forth to school. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. When they give the money, that money should go for something for the child: school clothes, uniforms, supplies. My son's father, I used to just give him a grocery list of stuff my son needed for his lunch every week, and I just go buy it. Just go buy the bread and the peanut butter and the chips and the drinks and the juice, or he would give him lunch money every week. That was our agreement. That was something extra I didn't have to do. I mean, I go to work, so I'm going to do it. Like I said, I work three jobs to take care of my son so he could just go to school. But I think sometimes the interpretation of child support gets lost. It gets lost on what it's actually for. It's, like you said, it's there to help take care of the child. Now, if you need help with the rent or stuff like that, then, I mean, that's a different situation. I wasn't in that type of situation, but I just feel like when you have the child, you have to take on some responsibility that this was a decision that you made. It also helps young men when they see their moms taking care of business, just like they would learn from their father. They're learning that from their mother too. Oh, my mom gets up every day and goes to work and she does this and she does that. And that's something, that young men need to see. They need to see that. And it makes a difference in what they're looking for, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, in somebody they want to spend time with.
It's not funny, but it's funny because nowadays you hear, okay, so the young lady has a baby, she has a child, and she'll convince you, oh my God, this is like, oh my God, this is the hardest thing since beating rocks into pebbles. And for me personally, I go, you only have one. You got one, just one. It's just one. And I get it. Life is real. But I watched my mom raise three girls, oh boy, 3 boys and 1 girl. And we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. We had bunk beds and twin beds and corner groups and all of that until you just didn't have any of that until, somebody finally left the nest, the whole 9 yards. But my mom did the best that she could with what she had. And that's the difference. My mom got up at the crack of dawn to make it to take care of other people's kids because she worked for LA Unified School District. So when a young lady says, oh, how hard it is, and she only has one, and I watch my mom raise all her kids, and she utilized, like we said, the levels to this. So I'm the oldest. All right. So look here, you're going to have to take your siblings to school. I got to be at work over here. So you're going to get them up. You're going to get them dressed for school. You're going to take them. These are the things that I learned at a very early age, right down to wash your own clothes. My mom taught me that. How to cook. My mom taught me that. I got some fine tuning on certain things through my dad, But for the most part, the foundation of my quote unquote manhood was mother based. And then it was refined by way of, like you said, those male figures. My uncle would always identify me as his practice son. You're my practice son. I got to get my practice in, until he had his own. And when he had his own, it became second nature for him. So, I think in the end, I think ultimately we just have to do the best that we can with what we have, outsource wherever we need to. Um, Personally, do I think that a lady can raise a man? I I think she could, but I think that there are levels to it. You know, how strong your mother is or was determines how strong you are. Your motivation, your drive. I done been homeless with no place to be, no place to go. But guess what? That didn't stop me from still living. That didn't stop me from, I got a daughter that I need to take care of. I got to do these things. Go, 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 go. I know of other cats, fellas, they're not trying to do anything. Now, who raised them? I don't know. But if your mama is strong-willed, you giving your all as best as you possibly can. So, ladies, it's 8:56. So I'm gonna ask you this: if there was one tip that you could share about your journey with your son with the audience, what would that be?
I'll go first. Always be honest with your son. Always, whatever it is, whatever the facts are, whatever you can and cannot do, be honest with them. Teach your son to be honest with others, respect others. Um, I believe that's the best thing you can do. Um, I didn't do a whole lot of dating around my son. It just basically was one person that he knew. Because when they see that whole lot of men coming in and out, they lose that respect for their mom, whether you know it or not. It also has issues with, you know, how they want to treat somebody else. So I just say be honest with your son. This is what it is. This is what it isn't. Allow whatever male figures you've chosen to be in their lives to be a part of that if they want to, and defer to them for what you don't know. If they have a dad that's around and in their lives, let him do his job. Let him do his part, whatever that is. Accept it for what it is, because it's not for you, it's for them. And that's the best you can do. Teach your son to be the best human he can be, and you'll be proud. Like this weekend, Mother's Day weekend, I went to Arizona, and my son took me to brunch, he took me shopping, drove me around, and he was so happy to do that. It wasn't an expectation of mine, but we were just happy to be there, and he was able to do for me, and he was proud of that, and I was proud of him. So always show your son love. Always show them love. Always show them affection. Where else are they going to learn it from if they don't learn it from you?
That's what's up.
I would say the one tip that I would give is build your village. Build your village. If there's fathers in their lives, still build your village, because as a single mother, you want your child to experience different perspectives from men that you trust, men that are in your family, uncles, godfathers, because their dad could sometimes, for example, in my case, his father only knows what he knows based on how he was raised in his environment. I can't expect him to know the business aspect of it in terms of entrepreneurship, because that wasn't his life. So when I say build your village, surround your son with men of strength so they can see all perspectives. And I think that's going to help build them to be a stronger man.
Hmm. I appreciate that. Um, Ladies, I truly appreciate you. Thank you for sharing, your thought process, your journey with your sons. Three, you got a little ways to go, but I know that your son is a good son based on our conversations. And, you know, he does no different than any other young man has done, you know, from the antics and the shenanigans that we pull on our moms or try to pull on our moms. But those are lifetime memories that, you know, you're going to have. So kudos to you. Keep up the great work. Michelle, as Miss Michelle, as I always say, you know, again, kudos to you. Your son is a grown man, but again, parenting, it doesn't stop until you no longer live. So, you know, if you truly have created that bond, your son is going to be happy to see you smiling. He's going to protect you from a whole lot of stuff. You know, some of the things in life I've done, if my mama knew, she'd be like, wait, what? You just going to do everything that you just know you ain't supposed to. Oh, okay. You know, I mean, even to this day, I'm still hiding certain things from my mom. You know, she asked me as I went to see her for Mother's Day, and she says, so I know it's about that time. What time, Mama? I know it's time for you to go somewhere on that motorcycle. Where you going now? Well, I just came back from Vegas on the motorcycle. Yes. So where you going? Because you didn't answer the question. Well, Mama, we getting ready to go to Detroit. Detroit? Yeah, Detroit, Mama, Detroit. And she was like, I don't get it. You just gonna ride out there. You don't know what's gonna happen out there. Just the whole mother hen. It's like, Mama, I got it. Don't worry. I won't be by myself. You know, it's gonna be all right. She don't want to hear that. So mamahood is for life. And we appreciate you guys for that. Thank you again for your time. You don't have to leave. I'm gonna just do this. So for my fellas, I'm gonna start off with you. Listen, if you're a dad and you want to be in your child's life, then you need to step up to the plate. Do what you need to do. Get in that child's life. Be there for them because it is a lifetime commitment. Like was said earlier, the child didn't ask to come here. The child is here, though. So what are you going to do to make that child's life the best life possible? For the moms, if that guy wants to be in that child's life and they are showing you or telling you that they do, give them the space. Let them do what they need to do. I know some situations where, the guy wants to be in the life of their child, but the mama is holding, the kids hostage because dollars and cents don't add up for her. Bump that. Quit it. Knock it off. Do what's right for the child or the children. Forget the rest. Let that man in that child's life or the children's life. And fellas, when you get that opportunity, man, run with the ball. Stop playing. Handle business. Do what you need to do. I could go on, but I'm not going to do that. I want to thank you guys for being here. Again, if you have not, because again, I still ain't read none of those comments on Facebook, but if you have not done so yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's G-Man After Dark. There you'll be able to leave some comments until I figure out what Facebook has got going on here. That's G-Man After Dark. You guys, it's been real. I'm glad to be back for season 3. The door is wide open. If you have some topics of discussion that you would like to talk about, please, by all means, hit me up in my inbox, call me up on my phone, send me a text message, however you can get in touch with me, do so, because I am looking for those conversations to have. I'm not here again to bash anybody. I'm here just to have grown folk conversation. Gentlemen After Dark, a place where grown folks can talk without judgment. That's what I want to see us do. Have conversation, come up with some solutions, some resolutions to our issues, our problems, and in the end, we all win. With that being said, that's my time. Thank you guys for being here, and I'm going to end like this.
From the desert to the sea, and to all who have decided to chat with me, good evening.